Hey everybody, just a quick recap on my trade with NVDA, NVDA. So I had mentioned in a previous video that I entered, I believe on Thursday, March 23rd, 2023, I had entered NVIDIA at, I believe I entered at 263.96. So I entered half the position, or both halves of the position right around this area here. So this blue arrow pointing up, that's where I entered. These two boxes here represent my target. So obviously my stop is the same. One thing I did share in my most recent video on this is initially this stop, because it had a bigger target, I was actually a little bit less conservative. I think I went below this initial demand here. So initially this was, kind of planned. Half my position was here, half my position was, using this ratio here. So this was a 1.27 risk to reward ratio. This was 1.32 R&R. So as I saw some movement, and then also when I was looking at the weekly time frame, I got some indications that I was hitting a top here. And because I was just a little nervous, I see a couple wicks that aren't getting that high. To me, I got a little anxious about that after I kind of, processed that after the fact. So I was already in, and over the weekend I was just kind of looking at things a little bit closer to figure out what I wanted to do for the upcoming week. So ultimately, I was more conservative. So initially, one thing I did was I just said, okay, I'm going to leave this strategy alone. I entered here. It was moving in the right direction at the time. I think, it closed the week. Let's see here. So this right here was the last candle of the previous week. So at that point, I was feeling good about the fact that I got the bounce and it was going up here. But again, I'd be lying if I said the fact that there's some wicks at the top here towards this 275 range. It was definitely getting in my head. It started to make me feel that we could see one more of these things right here, these big drops here, and I'd be stopped out. So I was slightly more conservative. So yesterday, I had adjusted my OCO order so that my daytime stop would be here. So I had increased my stop so that I had the same stop price for each half of my position. And then during the day today, you'll see that I hit this top arrow here indicates I hit my first target. What I did once I hit my first target, because I was, being more conservative because of that weekly analysis that I looked at, or I should say that weekly time frame analysis, I raised my stop to just below the opening price for that day. So if I remember correctly, so I opened, or that, the stock opened at 267.98. So I ended up doing 267, I think 50 was I raised this stop to 267. So I can't do that here, but I can bring that up. So I raised it to about just below the opening price. Let me get there. Not that it matters, but that's close enough. So I raised this stuff. So I ended up stopping out at 267.50 for a small profit. Obviously disappointed that I didn't hit my target. I am going to watch this because, as I mentioned in the previous video, one thing that I'm guilty of and I definitely need to work on is I get anxious. If I see it green, I definitely fear it turning red. So I end up raising my stops almost too aggressively. So yes, I can, it's good because I can potentially prevent bigger losses, but I'm also potentially leaving money on the table rather than sticking with my original target. So it will definitely be interesting to see. I mean, I probably, now looking back at it, if I didn't raise my stop and I still would have been down here, I still would have been in this trade. And if you looked at, there's one wick here, one wick, I can't, this thing's annoying. Let me get rid of this just so it's out of the way. One wick here, and one just above it. So it's clearly, it's bouncing off of this demand right here. I'll move this over just so we can see, because that was my logic. So it's bouncing off that demand. So looking back on it now, obviously with hindsight, I would say that this raising my stop too aggressively probably wasn't smart. However, it obviously, we won't know what it does. If it keeps dropping through, then it was the right thing to do. If I had raised it to break even, I would have been out. So I guess in this case, I would have been stopped out at break even. So I would have given up more profits than I did right now. So ultimately, I hit target 1 and then I raised my stop and did take a smaller profit. So target 1 was actually my bigger profit compared to I never actually hit this target here. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out. At this time, I am completely out. I'm not in NVDA anymore, but I'll definitely be monitoring to see what this thing does. 1, to see if it creates any other setups, and then 2, just to see, so I can reflect on my own strategies and my own trading to make sure that if I raise that stop prematurely, I mean, you never know. If this thing bounces up and hits this target, it will be a little frustrating. But at the same time, that's kind of what that's, you never know. And then it's obviously easy to look back on something and second guess yourself after the fact. But that's, when you don't have hindsight and you're making decisions, there's not much you can do. But anyway, so that was the outcome of NVIDIA. So I did make a small profit off of that. Did in both half positions, made me a profit. The first target I hit. The second profit I did not hit the second target rather, because I raised my stop a little bit too high. So that's where we're at now. I did make a couple of other trades today. None of the trades that I set up on Saturday, potential swing trades, have been triggered yet as of Monday, March 27th. So we'll see. I have them kind of on for the week, so good till canceled. Obviously, I'll look at it each day and still see if it makes sense to keep those GTC OCOs up out there. But anyways, I'll certainly, if I enter any trades, any swing trades, I'll certainly update accordingly. All right, see you later.